Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night. It is West Ham Wednesday night. Welcome to American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. Glad to be with you. Um, Glad you're with us. And I wanted to start out with the way I usually start out, which is to say welcome. And also, if you would take a look, please, at our merchandise website, ahtv.threadless.com. So that's threadless like without threads, threadless. Um, if you There's a lot of great things there you can buy. You can buy West Ham stuff. You can buy stuff from your local supporters group wherever you live. I think it's mostly in the U.S. and Canada, but we have T-shirts from Chile and all over the world. So check it out and see what's there. Might even have one from New Zealand for AJ. I'm not sure. I think we do, but Kiwi Hammers. So that helps us keep going. That helps us keep the channel on the air. So if you look at that, that'd be really helpful to us. Um, Also, I'm going to do what I do every week. I'm going to toss you a link to my buddy Ensa in the Gambia, who has put together the West Ham United the Gambia Youth Club. It's a football club with about 70 kids. They are now playing in a tournament, and they have drawn their first two games in the tournament. They have 5 games in the knockout stage. They've drawn the first two. This is their first competitive games they've ever played, so they're doing pretty well. They've got another game on Saturday, and what I'm trying to do is get them into some kits. They will be able to play in a league eventually if they can get kits, which they're like borrowing kits right now, so they don't have their own permanent kits. They need their own kits. So trying to get them to Claret and Blue kits if we can, so that they can keep going and be sustainable. And my understanding from INSA is that there is an Aston Villa club that exists now in Banjul in the Gambia that's actually pretty well funded, and he's starting to worry he's going to lose some of his players to a better funded club. And I would hate for that to happen because they're off to a really successful start. They have like 70 kids in the program, and Ensa's 17 years old. He runs the whole thing by himself, and he's done a fantastic job. So if you're able to give a little bit, please do. I just popped the link up in the comments there. I'll do that again later on. Let's see who's with us today from one of my favorite places in the world, San Antonio, Texas. It's David. How are you, David?
Doing all right, Lee. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Old friend, longtime friend. We were just talking before the show. He's not been on in 2.5 years. From are you which city in New Zealand are you in, AJ? Are you in Wellington, Christchurch?
Yeah, still in Wellington, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I guess it goes without saying that I do have to thank the big brains behind this, Mr. Tim, for extending the invitation. It was quite nice him poking me with the proverbial stick, going, "Do this, do this, do this."
Well, I'll tell you what, we're glad to have you back, AJ from Wellington, obviously our Kiwi Hammer. Well, one of many, I'm sure, but the only one I know personally. so, so it's good to have you back. What time is it there? Is it like Friday morning or something there? I never know what time it is. You're part of the world.
No, it's just gone midday over here, and it's a Thursday, so let's do it. Let's do it. We got the game tomorrow morning, and
Yes.
I
Lovely.
know that I've got to wind you up at some stage, as well as cause a little bit more grief for Tim. So, got to make him regret the decisions that he's made.
I see Neil is here saying hi. And I see James is here. James, we're going to have you back on soon. Don't worry. We're just rotating the cast a little bit here and there, but it's nice to have you watching. And my getting to be constant companions now down on the bottom of the screen, which is not intentional. It's just whoever shows up, that's where they end up. From Reno, originally from Key West, I believe.
Yeah, man.
It's Scott. How you doing, Scott?
What's up? What's up?
And of course, from the south side of Chicago, because you gotta say South Side, right? It's important. It's a big deal.
It's important.
Yeah, it's
established it.
fantastic city. I love Chicago. How you doing, Phil?
Another day, another day.
Another day. Well, if we're going to talk about West Ham, I do not want to talk about Brighton. Usually we recap the last game. I don't want to do that.
We don't
You
need
know,
to do that.
sometimes, coaches will say to you, if you have a bad enough performance, don't watch the tapes, don't study them, just throw it away. Just forget about it, right? Just forget about it. And that's kind of what my thinking is with Brighton. Just forget about it. It was a disaster. We all know it was a disaster. The whole beginning of the season has been a disaster, obviously, but this was the worst of the 3 disasters we've had so far, in my opinion. No reason to rehash it. We're out there trying to replenish the squad. We're out there signing players. We've got new signings already planned for us. So, let's move on. We've since we were last on, since we had our last broadcast last week, we've signed Emerson. Yes, Emerson Palmieri. I'm not going to call him Emerson Fittipaldi because I figured that's what I would do. Emerson Palmieri from Chelsea, from Chelsea,
Yep.
and Italian
Surprisingly.
international. And have we signed it? I think that's the only signing we've made since in the last week. But there's
That's
a
the
lot
only
of. Is that right?
rumors. Yeah, but that's the only for sure signing we made.
That's the only signing we've made. That's So there have been a lot of rumors floating around. The latest one regarding what's his
Paqueta.
name? Paqueta. Thank you. I almost said Leon Panetta, but I think he was like FBI director under Clinton or something like that. Anyway, Paqueta. I get these names mixed up. I do this all the time. I have really bad with names, which is terrible because I used to be a journalist, and journalists have to know names above everything else. But anyway, I can't do that anymore. Paqueta, which we were apparently, it was basically signed, sealed, delivered until it wasn't, and now it's not. So don't know if that'll happen or not. Did you know that his last name? Did you know that his last name is Crisps?
What?
Paqueta Crisps. That's his. Never mind. I just made that up, like a packet of. No, forget it.
Lee, don't give up your day job.
This is not a. This is where I sit for my day job. I do my day job right here. So,
I'm sorry, brother, but no, that was just bad on a brand new level.
well,
You
I
made
don't know.
the attempt. It's just like
I've been thinking about it all day. That's the thing, is I was preparing that one all day, but then the delivery-
So too much thinking about it, and the execution was what let you down.
that sounds
I
like a
don't
West
know.
Ham
I don't know,
performance.
NJ. I'm not sure. It's just the execution. I think the whole thing was a pretty bad idea from the very beginning. I don't think it was such a great idea. Right. So tomorrow, Viborg in Denmark with a 3-1 lead, and then Sunday. It has to be Sunday, right? Sunday morning, I guess. Villa away. That's going to be really difficult. I want to start with a question that I've been thinking about for a little while, and I figure I might as well start with it. I realize it's Viborg, and it's pretty low level of competition, but that's the best we've looked all season. In 4 games so far this season, that Viborg game is the only one where we've had any pulse, and it was without Declan Rice, who is not having the best start to his season so far, in my opinion. Now, I want you guys to give me an assessment of Declan, if you would. How do you think? He says, "Why panic?" Oh, why not panic? I mean, this is what we do. Yes. Good morning. To be fair, I'm more than a keyboard warrior. I'm also a YouTube warrior, so a little respect. Yeah. So not just the keyboard. Anyway, Declan Rice. He hasn't had a great start to the season. Give me your assessment of him. Is his heart in it? Is he a West Ham player past January? Is he West? I mean, I don't think we're selling him in the next week. But what's your assessment long term or season long, I guess, for Declan? Does he turn this thing around? Is it a slump? What do you think's going on?
You realize Declan Rice is a holding midfielder, right?
Of course I do.
He's not our playmaker.
I know.
Right now,
I get
he's
it.
playing so far up the pitch. He's attempting to be something he's really not. He's a good defensive player. He does a great job on that. But I think he's trying to play a position that's not naturally him, which is leaving Souček completely lost So it's not just about Declan as much as it's about those two not pairing and being successful on either end.
Well,
Well,
it's funny. I'm sorry. It's funny that Charlie Walsh is here because Charlie Walsh. Oops, where'd he go? Here he is. Charlie Walsh used to come on the show last season and say, "Sell Declan Rice, while we can get the money for him that we could, we can get 100 million pounds or 80 million pounds, whatever." And I said, "No, no, 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 no! Don't do that! Don't do that! Don't do that! Build the whole club around him." Now I'm starting to wonder. Maybe Charlie was right, and I regret that he's hearing me say that. But anyway,
Wash your mouth out with soap.
what?
Wash your mouth out with soap, Mr. Lee. I'm sorry. No.
I'll wash it out with scotch, okay?
fair
Look,
enough.
the problem, the Declan Rice problem is easy to actually diagnose. As Scott was saying, he is a holding midfielder, not a box-to-box midfielder.
Right.
Moyes is playing him out of position, and he knows this because the 2021 campaign, he was absolutely bossing midfield. Noble couldn't even get a look in. Suchek was allowed to run forward, and he gave 110%. And that is why we are seeing so many of our so-called fans getting on the crappy side when Suchek isn't performing, when Rice isn't performing. They are both played out of position.
Mhm.
And this is actually getting... This is a gripe that I've had for the last couple of seasons. And even if all I can do is just bitch about it here, Rice is the holding midfielder. He plays in front of that back four or back three, depending on the situation. Suchek is that box-to-box midfielder. Let him run. Why are we putting Declan Rice in a position
Because
where
I
he's
think Declan,
able
but
to
isn't that what
accumulate?
Declan Rice? But AJ, last season we talked about that's what Declan Rice wanted. He wanted to go forward.
No,
And he's. You don't think so, Phil? Go ahead.
No, he. So there's something I've learned. I'm not a genius. I'm not a footballing genius by any means. There's something I've learned over time. There, for each player, there is the position that they think they're good at. There is the position that the manager thinks they're good at. And then there's the position they are actually good at. And what's happening is Declan thinks he is a box-to-box midfielder. He is not.
I think you're right. Yep. Go ahead.
David Moyes is trying to play him as such, even though he knows he's not, to keep him happy. He shouldn't be. We all know, as you said, AJ, he is a holding midfielder, which is why when I look at the transfer rumors, it kind of makes sense what's going on. If you bring in another guy who can play the box or the 10, then it makes it impossible to keep having to play Declan as a box-to-box, because then he has no choice but to go back to his best position, which is holding mid.
Will he? And this is, I think, a lot of the problems we've had started when, for whatever reason, Declan started going forward. He seemed to want to go forward. He took a lot of shots. Listen, he's a fantastic footballer. He's not a great finisher. We know he can't take penalties for one thing, but he's not a great finisher. He's not a great finisher. But he seemed to want to start to go forward, be more box to box, take more shots. And I think it's been a contributor to the problems we've had since January. Along with many others.
I'm sorry. Because we don't have any real balance. Because when you take away the linchpin of the team, it leaves gaps all over, and it ultimately sometimes exposes other players and their flaws. What he did a great job of is because he was so good in terms of covering area in front of that back four or back three, it kind of protected everyone because, okay, he's still going to be back there. He's going to still be able to clean up the messes. That's not happening anymore. That's why we're kind of in this position where you look at it as, okay, I get he wants to push forward more, but you're not that guy, Declan. You're not that guy.
And I think Neil's onto something. I think Declan. Listen, Declan Rice is a great player. He's been a great captain. But I got to tell you, I'm starting to see little cracks. His comments that he made, I'm sure you've all seen him by now, about how we're not Manchester City, we're not going to win the title. I mean, nobody likes hearing that. Okay, it's true. I know it's
true.
We
West Ham
all know
fans
it's
know that.
true. But that's true for 19 other clubs in the Premiership, right? I mean, how many title contenders are there? 2, 3 at the most ever.
Three.
Yeah, right, 3. Liverpool, Man City, maybe somebody like a Tottenham sneaks in, God forbid, or there's 2 or 3. So, but he looked and sounded so beaten down that it made me wonder. And I've never thought this about him before. Made me wonder if he has a foot out the door, if he's thinking about something else. And that's the first time I've really seen him look like that.
I don't think it's. Go ahead.
Sorry. The other question that I just want to add on to what Lee is saying is he too young to actually assume the captain's armband after Noble? Because let's not beat around the bush for a minute here. Noble was an absolute club legend, and he devoted a lot of time and a lot of effort into this club.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one thinking it, but is he actually a little too young to be our club captain? And is that weighing on him? Is the added pressure weighing on him? And that's why he's playing so poorly.
One of the things that we talked about on this show last season, throughout much of last season, even the season before, when Noble really handed the match-to-match captaincy over to Declan. I mean, Noble was captain, but he didn't play much, right? So Declan was captain, week after week. Declan was the de facto captain. He's a goofball, Declan Rice. I mean, yeah, great player, but he doesn't. He has, but I never thought he had a leader's mentality. On the other hand, I watched Mark Noble. I'm sorry, but I watched Mark Noble as captain many times slump his shoulders as soon as we conceded, and the whole team would slump their shoulders, and we'd concede again. Declan doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. But I'm also not sure he has the maturity to be captain day in and day out in training, in the changing room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the whole thing, other than 90 minutes every week.
There's a huge difference between wearing the armband and actually being the captain of the club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The captain of the club is a good way of putting it. Yes.
100%.
Not just of the team, but of the club. Yeah.
I think the issue we keep in mind is he's 22?
I think he's 22.
He's 22. He's trying to fill the role of the club legend, Mark Noble.
Yeah.
And right now, this is his this is his make or break season.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of people who are looking at him saying, okay, is he the real deal, or is this just English overhype?
And we've got a World Cup coming up, stupidly in November because of corrupt FIFA. But we've got a World Cup coming up where he's going to absolutely be in the shop window. And England have a chance to win it. They do. I mean, they really do. And so,
I mean, they should be a contender.
They should be a contender. So he's got to be thinking to some extent. I mean, I sometimes, he's very obviously well loved at West Ham, and I kind of wonder if he's looking ahead to that World Cup. Like, I don't want to have an Garrett situation, where I do my knee, do my ankle before that comes along, because that's the chance to ascend from being a great English player to being one of the all-time greats in the history of the world, to get to, Bobby Moore level or Beckenbauer. You know what I mean? If you win the World Cup, you ascend to that plane that very few footballers ascend to. And I wonder if it's in the back of his mind.
It is, but it's also him trying to do too much.
Well, and Hammerhead brings up a really good point. He did his girlfriend did just have a baby, and I can tell you that as the father of 2 boys, one of whom is still in the room with me. Hey, Andrew, come say hi. Come here. This is Andrew. He's 9 now. Andrew. He's been on before. Come here. Come say hi. Yeah, there we go. He's been on before, and yes, he's wearing Christmas pajamas in August. All right, thank you.
My type of person.
Yes, he loves pajamas. His favorite clothes. Someone who's had 2 newborns, it is. It's Scott. You know what I'm talking about. You have a little child at the moment. Yeah, I think it's 2.
Yeah,
Embry's 2,
almost.
right?
Almost.
2. It is all consuming, especially those first few weeks. And I know he's a footballer. I know he is going to travel. He's not going to necessarily live the life I led when I had newborns and I was working at home and I was at home 24 hours a day. I know he doesn't live like it. But even so, I'm sure he's involved in the life of his child. The kid was just born days ago, and that's brutal. It's so hard. Those first few months are so hard.
And to be fair, he hasn't taken time away from the club either. I mean, as much as I can point the negatives out, right? He hasn't taken time away. He didn't say I need 3 weeks away to be with the baby, which I mean, I don't know. I took more than enough time for the baby, and when it was time, I was ready to go back, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
But he hasn't asked for that, and so I mean, just think of how a crying baby wakes you up.
Listen, I again, I don't know his living situation, but I can tell you this: if you're living with a newborn in your life, you're not sleeping much, and you're not sleeping steadily, and it's rough. It's beautiful and wonderful and totally worth it, of course, but it's rough right there at the beginning. So
could you pull up the? Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
could
go
you pull
ahead.
up the PC comment?
What's that?
Can you pull up the PC Pekovic?
Yes,
I
I was
don't
just
know.
about to do that. I was hovering over it as you said that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to word this right. If not paying Onana is not going to make us top 6, he had better been setting the world on fire for Everton. Look, I like young talent, but I don't think it's worth always giving in to overpaying. It's like with Lingard. Yes, we like him. Yes, we think he could help, but you're not going to overpay him. That's kind of been the issue for West Ham. You've gotten so desperate at times that you overpay mid-ass talent. Like, bro.
We're not a club, and just to reinforce what you're saying, Phil, because I agree, we're not a club that can afford to make mistakes. We're going to take a bath on Vlasic. We took a bath on Sebastian Aller. We can't do that over and over again. Manchester City can do that. Big 6, top 6, financially speaking, those clubs can do that. We can't do that. We have to be we have to be careful about. We always have had to be careful about how we spend. And I mean, would he have been the guy to sort of rocket us into the top 6?
No,
not any more than anybody else.
Not right now.
No. Now, Paqueta might if we could get a hold of him.
Definitely, Paqueta could definitely do that. Like, he has that talent. He has the talent to slide into the starting lineup. And something that I've been thinking about more and more, thinking about the fact that, David Moyes talking about signing Paqueta, and then just overall the amount of signings or the offers we've been putting out, it's made me start to think, like, I know we said we wouldn't rehash it, but Moyes got totally outclassed by Graham Potter on Sunday. Like,
well, Graham Potter's a fantastic manager, and I do still support David Moyes. I do, but Graham Potter is, I mean, listen.
Like, that substitution, as soon as West Ham was starting to grab back control of the game, he was like, oh, this is what you're doing?
Yeah.
Let me reverse that onto you and then get a second goal. Peace out. A-Town down. We're out. Brighten up.
Graham Potter is the kind of manager that if he came to David Sullivan tomorrow and said, I want to manage West Ham, all due respect to David Moyes, whom I've backed solidly since the very first time he signed with the club, I think I'd take Graham Potter. You know what I mean? He's the head cheerleader, right? You could date the girl from the chess club, and she's awesome, and she's a lot of fun, and she's cute, but head cheerleader comes to you and says, what are you doing Saturday night? Yeah, you're going out with the cheerleader.
But the reason I brought that up is I'm starting to think maybe for Moyes, he's going to be stubborn in certain ways. He's going to be stubborn in certain tactics, but maybe what he's trying to do with the recent signings is build a deep enough squad so that we're flexible enough to kind of switch things up. This
No,
is mousy.
it's the mousy girl. Well, we were the
Girl.
mousy. See, Jesse Lingard chose an even mousier girl than us. Is what happened. Which again proves that my theory was right. It just didn't work in our favor. No, I mean, this is another point though. You know, this wage structure that we supposedly have, even though Yarmolenko was on something like 120K a week. One of the things that has been a hallmark of Moyes at West Ham is, I see Andrew in the background, has been a hallmark of Moyes at West Ham, is that he's had this spirit in the changing room, dressing room, whatever you want to call it. You know, he's brought everybody together, and I'm sensing that is not happening right now. I do not feel that the way I felt that in the last couple of years. But I do know that one of the arguments for not bringing in players who make these exorbitant wage demands is it's going to mess up the spirit, the camaraderie of the team. If you bring somebody in who's too, thinks himself too high above everybody else, I guess, if that makes sense, and makes some money to prove it.
Yeah, but they're not playing like a team anyway right now.
No.
And that's what bothers me, David. Why? We talked about this last week. Why? What's going on? What? I mean, it's, by the way, it's not just this season. It's been since January. And as we said, all the excuses about tired players are over. There was no tournament this summer. Everybody got time off. Everybody went on holidays. They came back. They looked exactly the way they looked in the last 3 or 4 months of last season, which is terrible.
They have the look of a team that are resting on their laurels. They punched above their weight last year. We did very well in Europe, until we sort of, crapped out and caved at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But in the Premier League, we were already struggling, But I get the impression that they're sort of just coasting at the moment.
Well, they're coasting toward relegation is where they're coasting, at the moment.
Yeah, you can't coast. You
Right.
cannot do it.
Can't coast in English. Can't coast in football. Period. Well, you can in the MLS, but sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking maybe it's the fact that we're bringing in the amount of players that we are at different levels, and that, in a sense, is kind of affecting how the team is. I know, and I do agree. It feels like we're picking up from where we dropped off in January, but this is a different bad feeling in the sense that you have these new players that Moyes is trying to get integrated into the club, and it kind of takes time for that meshing to happen. And I tweeted about it, and I thought about it. These were the 3 worst games to have started out the season with.
I know. That is a valid point. Yes. No, it kind of is. It kind of is. Yeah.
It's I shouldn't have expected as much now that I'm thinking about it. And maybe part of it is that, we may not want to admit it. Maybe there's a little bit of an arrogance that we kind of developed because we had done so well, because we punched above our weight. And in some West Ham fans' minds, it's like now we feel that we belong up there and we were good enough to do even more, and that's not where we're at right now. And this is our reality check.
And we've had, and I think some of our players have really overperformed, and to some extent, I give Moyes credit for that. To a large extent, you take a guy like Vladimir Coufal, and he just wrote a long piece about what his career and how much he loves West Ham and how far he's come to be at West Ham, which I haven't read the whole thing yet, but so we love him for his attitude. But he's a £2 million player, and he's starting to look like a £2 million player.
He looks like a guy who's getting old.
Well,
he's getting too old.
And Souček, I don't entirely blame Souček for his form, because I do think there's a problem with Rice, as we've discussed, and it's affecting Souček. But Souček is starting to look like a guy who came from the Czech League. Sorry, with all due respect to the Czech League, these guys aren't looking like the world beaters they did 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, the Souček. Well, last year Souček didn't look that good.
No, he didn't.
He had flashes. He had a few moments here and there, but he wasn't the Souček we got 2 years ago.
Suchek benefited from a system that, we were, he benefited from the system that we had then at the time, because everyone knew their role.
Right, and he got that goal against Sevilla last season to equalize in the tie. And I think had he not scored that goal, I think his season would have been. We would have thought of it as much more of a complete failure. But he had that one sort of defining moment, in a huge match. Other than that, not very good. Not very good at all. And I'm starting to worry, and I think we see this with all these players we're trying to sign, is that this is what I'm saying, Lucas. Suchek had a lot of headed goals early in his career at West Ham, had the big goal against Sevilla last season, but he's not a good midfielder. And some of these bargain basement guys we picked up who kind of surprised the Premier League at first, they're reverting to the mean, or regressing, I think is the word, regressing to the mean. They're coming back to what you would think they would be. They were never that great to begin with. And, we're so predictable. It's starting to remind me of Sam Allardyce. I mean, you can pick the starting 11 and you can pick the formation. You can almost pick the substitutions and when they'll happen. David Moyes has brought us probably our two best back-to-back seasons in the history of the club in terms of league performance, right? League performance. And a fantastic run in Europe that I honestly didn't think we'd get as far as we did. But what else does he have now? I mean, he's signing players. Is he going to get these guys integrated? Is he going to be able to change our tactics or our formation? What do you guys? Where do we need to go? I guess is clearly we've hit a wall. We hit it in January, and we coasted, as you said, through the second half of the season on the success in Europe, and the fact that we banked a lot of points from August through December. But where does it go from here?
The thing is, you boys are also forgetting one crucial thing, and over the last 7 to 8 years, it's become more and more apparent. We always, without fail, these are the two biggest things that you can guarantee West Ham will get right out the gate. The first is we'll face a supposed top 6 side. Yes. Cool, no problem. We're always going to struggle right out of the gate with a top 6 team. And the second thing is we always go on a rut of about 4 to 6 games straight after that. But then come match week 7, match week 8, we are flying again. So and I'm sorry, it's got to be said, trying to pin the blame on the players and the boss isn't going to be the right way to go about things, because you can't. Historically speaking, we have always been poor right out of the gate. Historically speaking, we have always struggled against a top 6 side, and especially with Newcastle now, as hugely minted as they are, we're going to struggle against them as well. It used to be West Ham fans and Leicester City fans would joke around and say, we're bigger than you, rah-de-rah-de-rah. We have more of a right to top 7 than you do. The usual schoolyard nonsense, right? Newcastle's come along with their money bags from Saudi Arabia, and they have absolutely wiped West Ham, Leicester, Everton off the face of the planet.
And they've just gotten started, AJ. They've barely even bought any. They've just gotten started.
They're doing the smart thing.
Yeah.
They're doing the smart.
The real
I think Phil's
big,
right. Yeah.
They're
building.
Thing,
yeah,
exactly. And the real big thing that I think we all keep forgetting is every single season without fail, don't expect a miracle right out of the gate. Give the boys time, especially because we're still very much in that COVID period. Okay, the pandemic is winding down, sure, not a problem. But we're still dealing with all of this. Plus, look at the heat waves that's been going on in the UK. There's no way those boys are prepared to be playing in 30,
Yeah,
40
but
degree Celsius.
every club has to face that, AJ. All the other players have to face that
Yeah,
too.
and
my thing here is
It's
that
a small country. It's hot everywhere you go. It's not like here where you in Texas it's 105 degrees and in New England it's 85. I mean, sorry, I'm using Fahrenheit, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, I understand what you're saying. The problem I have is it's not just, and I'm with David, or maybe it was Phil who said this. Those first three games were three difficult games to start with. Defending champions, even if those at home, we never beat them. We know that. I didn't even mind that game.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, just whatever. Defending champions, but then you go away to. Good night, Andrew. Then you go away to a promoted club who haven't been in the Premier League in 25 years. I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. Yes, I'm being attacked. All right, so he knows. Andrew says he's live, and Andrew's like, I know he's live. He knows what he's doing. But you go away to a club that hasn't been in the Premier League in 25 years, so they're jacked out of their minds, and they've signed a whole new starting 11. And then bogey team. I mean, it wasn't bad, but let me just say this: it goes back. We've won something like 13 out of our. We've lost something like 13 out of our last. What's the number?
13 out of the last 20.
13 out of the last 20.
5 points out of the last possible 30 that we
It's
had.
relegation form going back to January. So, it's not. I mean, yes, it was a tough start to the season, AJ. I agree. And West Ham are a club that West Ham come down with the Christmas decorations. We know all the cliches, which are mostly true. But it's feeling like rot setting in. Do you know what I mean? It's feeling like rot setting in.
I completely understand where you're coming from, Lee, and trust me, I'm not trying to, for want of a better term, I'm not trying to crap on anyone's opinions or anything.
No, I know that. No, that's why we're here.
For me, it's the exact same shit week in, week out, season in, season out. We all have the excuses. There is always going to be someone who just craps on anyone and everyone wearing claret and blue. And I'm sorry, like, as I said, 8 years following this awesome club, and I'm over it. I really am. At what point do we actually have to start looking back at the one thing that we really don't want to look at, and that being statistics? Because what's that old saying? Stats don't lie. I'm sorry, boys, but you can try and you can try and pin the crap on anyone you want.
Well, I put it on David Sullivan always. Always on David Sullivan, always.
We can do it for everything. Like, I think I get what you're saying, AJ. I do. And yes, that might be historically how things go. But the point is, at some point, you got to change that. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over
then
again and expect things to get better. We have to step up a level in that mentality. And that goes from the top, which is ownership, all the way to the bottom, of which are the players. Yeah. Actually the manager, because everyone knows the manager is the first one to take all the blame.
Of course.
But the point is, at some point, that mentality has to change. If we want to be a club that pushes forward, and I'm not saying top six, but if we want to really establish ourselves as one of the more established teams in England, and going forward, we have to change that mentality. Like, I looked at what's going on in the club.
I thought Moyes had done that. I thought Moyes had done that, but he hasn't. He hasn't been able to do it concretely. Like, I look at certain teams, we talk about Newcastle, they're doing their thing slowly but gradually building up. Yeah. They're going to be where they are. They have a great manager. Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job.
Eddie Howe's been doing great.
Too. Yeah.
No doubt about that.
No.
I mean, Eddie Howe's another one. Eddie Howe's another one that, if he knocked on David Sullivan's door tomorrow, said I want to manage West Ham, it'd be hard to say no to that.
Well,
it's not going to happen. So it's a moot point. Yeah.
The question that I've got for you boys is, what do we do? We're talking about changing the mentality and all that sort of thing. So where do we start by doing that? Do we push for an ownership change? Do we ask for a
Probably
new
halfway
manager?
to that point.
I want to remind you boys of what happened when we got Pellegrini. He was
I
a
know.
fans manager.
Yeah.
And
Well,
where were we?
Everybody got excited about Pellegrini. He didn't care to be at West Ham. He didn't care anything about West Ham. It was a paycheck for him. He was just, you know, a lot of his success also was kind of tainted. If you look back at those Mallorca teams, was it Mallorca where he managed? I want to get the right.
Malaga. It was Malaga.
Malaga. It was Malaga. Sorry. If you look back at his Malaga teams that did well in Europe, they got hit. Believe it or not, with financial fair play penalties. Believe it or not, which I didn't even know existed. It's like the salary.
I didn't know
cap
they
in the
could enforce those rules.
It's like the salary cap in the
Ooh.
NFL. All of a sudden, it just happens. They actually were suspended from Europe the next season because of financial. So he was not totally on the up as a manager, let's say, until he got to Manchester City, where frankly, I mean, I could manage Manchester City to at least a top 3 finish. I don't know about a title, but I could stand there. I could stand there like Ted Lasso.
Dude,
I could stand there like Ted Lasso, and I could pick 11 of the best players.
You're
in the
winning
world.
at least to the domestic treble.
I'm saying I could get him. I'm telling you, I could manage him to a trophy, if nothing else, at least one. All you do is take any 11 of their players on any given week, and already your chances of winning are, you know, better than half. So I'm just saying, Pellegrini, as you're right, AJ, he came in, and this is my fear, because you're getting a little bit of a Moyes out drip coming from social media, and I'm not there yet. But I'm wondering, when and where, if ever, do you guys get there? World Cup break in November. Where do we have to be for you to be able to say David Moyes is our manager for the rest of the season?
I don't think we have to be anywhere. I don't think there's a number, right? I think we should see better results on the field. That doesn't have to be wins. We have to play better. And as a coach, when your team, let's be honest, there was no real change in the lineup from January to
there was zero
now.
And there's still not any, by the way. We bought all these new players. They're still not going to play.
How do you break those situations up? You make changes in your lineup. You say, fine, you're not cutting it. You're out. You're in. And that's how coaches break those things up. Moyes didn't have a bench to do it from January, and now he's got players, and he hasn't done it. And if you're not willing to make that effort, I mean, I just want to see you play well. I don't care. I thought we played all right against City, but
we did.
I don't want to see us play poorly against Brighton.
No, well, Brighton was a disaster.
I think the fair thing to say, I think if we're going to look at the 3 performances, 2 of them were not bad. It was the Brighton one that just was the worst. That
was the one that sucked the life out of me, Phil. City, I expected. I never put any stock into the first week of the season anyway. You get a lot of random results in August and even in September, to be honest, I believe. However, you know, City, even for us, we played well enough to win. They were sky high. We had everything that could have gone against us went against us. You come back home to Brighton, got to have a win, had the confidence of a Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon victory. I know over Viborg, but still, you have to win that game against Brighton. We're sitting bottom of the Premier League now. There was no I know it's Brighton. It doesn't matter. There's no excuse to lose that game. There's no excuse. That's what bothers me the most. And by the way, same thing for the last game of last season. When we led 1-0 at halftime, we were 45 minutes away from not even worried about Conference League, from going straight back into Europa League. Brighton again. Bogey club or not, I don't really care. That's not acceptable to me.
You know? No, it's not. It shouldn't be. And, you know, we have to do better. And look, I think somebody talked about we spent $150 million.
Yeah, James.
It's not on the owners.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming the owners because they actually spent money. It's just
they brought in Kretinsky,
so often they've made
the checkbook. Yeah.
It's just it feels like this was a transfer window or two too late for them in the sense of where was this earlier?
I'm glad to see my buddy Steve back. Our man Steve is back. It's good to see you, my friend. Our Millwall supporter is back to give us our. I knew just about when I figured he'd be back. It's about as good a time as any to do it.
Millwall Steve, what's
Millwall
good?
Steve. Well, Millwall and West Ham. The funny thing is, how we hate each other so much, and yet how similar the fans actually are culturally. It's kind of true. But anyway, that's a whole different.
It is, but
That's a whole different.
No,
As an American, I think you see that in a way you don't if you're from East London or South East London. You know what I mean? But that's a whole different thing altogether. Anyway, Steve, we're glad to have you here, even though we know why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with the. I mean, talk about a bogey club all you want. You come into a game like that. That's now we've played 5, competitive 6 competitive games. What, less 4 this season, counting Viborg, and then Brighton at the end of last year. That's 5. 2 of our last 5 competitive games have been total disasters against Brighton.
But
it's not
how
in huge situations.
We played Brighton the exact same way both times. We didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And if you want to go in and you want to compete, you have to make changes, and we're just not. And that's the most frustrating part. I mean, last year I told you I could just pick the lineup. We can just pick the lineup every single day.
And you can still, even with all the new signings, you can still pick the lineup. You can still pick the formation, and you can almost pick the substitutions and when they're going to happen. It's like a carbon copy.
If they happen.
Which we now have 5, and he still doesn't make enough, and he makes them too late. But every game's just like a copy of the last.
The problem that Scott quite rightly identified was we didn't have the tools that we needed. Now that we do, you've got to remember the Premier League is one of the most toughest leagues in the world. Not every player is going to adapt straight off the bat. So while I hear what you're all saying, I've got to sit back and I've got to critically think, actually, yeah, okay, we're all getting pissy at Moyes for not making those substitutions and not starting these boys that we've just come in. Flynn Downs for a minute, all right? Let's just talk about him.
What happened with him? Is he healthy? Is he healthy?
So apparently the reason why he's not starting, and this has come from Moyes himself, is because while he has shown glimpses of what he's capable of, he's not ready for the Premier League.
Then why did we sign him, AJ? Why did we sign him?
Champions League is the equivalent of, the Championship is the equivalent of League One in France, is the equivalent of the Bundesliga, Serie A.
I will give you France and Portugal. France and Portugal and Holland. No. France, Portugal, and Holland, the top divisions in all.
I agree with that.
I'm not sure about Bundesliga and Serie A because Serie A in particular maybe of a higher standard. But I get but AJ, I mean, why did we sign him? I understand you don't know who a player is until you get him into training, okay? But I don't understand. How does this keep happening? Is Moyes just that poor an evaluator of talent?
The reason he got signed was because we need cover in midfield. Yes, you've got my boy Connor Coventry sitting there waiting in the wings. This is a guy that I have been banging on about for years because he is going to turn the Premier League on its head. No doubt about it.
Coventry?
But, yeah.
You better hurry.
Oh, trust me, I agree.
Getting old.
But the thing is, at the same time, we need that cover in midfield because we lost Noble, and Souček and Rice are now having to start fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
The same question can be asked as to why we signed Agurd. We didn't really need him at the time, but yet we still got him. Okay, he's injured at the moment. That's unfortunate. The big thing that Moyes needed to do this summer was go in and actually get a striker, to which he's done.
Yeah.
Now, he's coming from the Italian league. Cool, not a problem. That is going to be essentially championship level football when comparing to the Premier League. Of course, he's going to need time to adjust. Are you kidding me?
Well, you need to make a valid point. Everybody wants these guys in, and they're not necessarily ready in the first, let's say, month. Yeah.
Steve, we're not signing Ben Burton Diaz. Stop it. We won't sign him.
First of all, I'm going to say right now, I do not think we'll sign Paqueta By the way, I mentioned his
I don't
last
know.
name.
The one
Is Charlie Walsh still here? Because I mentioned earlier that his last name is Crisps. You know, he's one of these Brazilian guys. They have a lot of names. His name is Paqueta Crisps.
I think
Scott's not even paying it. He's not even acknowledging that I exist. Anyway, I personally don't think we'll get it across the line. I don't.
I don't know about Paqueta.
I think
That's
some of the
50-50.
reporting on that was very, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, overly positive early on.
I think what's really starting to happen, and I think you're going to see more of it depending on what happens tomorrow. If we advance, I think you're going to see a lot of the players that aren't necessarily ready for the Premier League. That the Conference League is where they're going to have to earn their stripes, in order to get into his good books.
Well, now somebody says Downs has the toe injury. I mean, I'd like to see Downs. Tomorrow. Listen. We go into Denmark, and really they were not too bad against us on Thursday. They're not a bad team at all. However, even going away, we take a 2-goal lead in. We really shouldn't struggle with Viborg. All right, I know famous last words. I get it. I know, but we should.
I'm knocking on wood.
I'm knocking on wood. I'm saying
don't
shouldn't.
You dare.
I'm saying shouldn't.
Don't bring up Astra fucking Google again.
Don't.
But I'm all I'm saying is maybe could we get Flynn Downs into this game? Could we get a start for Max Cornet, whatever his first name?
I think we do. I think you're going to see a lot of the new signings get their opportunities, and I think they're going to shine. I think Skamaka is going to play well. He's going to play well against Viborg.
And then we're going to go straight back.
And then, well, what's happening?
We'll go back to the same formation against Villa.
And then, that's what's going to happen.
Well, that's what I fear too. Is even if we do get a great performance, and let's face it, Thursday's performance was solid. It was fine. 3-1 is a good home win over a club at that level. There's nothing wrong with what we did, right? But I mean, we're right back on Sunday to being garbage again and to being totally predictable. You look at starting 11 on Sunday, and it was like it's the one you could have predicted 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. Same thing, you know. I already pulled this one up. I mean, I do wonder about this. You know, Holland comes on for Manchester City, scores a brace against us in his debut. And I know we don't have a Holland. Okay, I get that. We don't sign players like that. We don't have the money to sign players like that. Even so, everybody else brings their guys in, their new signings, and they just light it up, you know. And for some reason, we've got to run them through a series of tests or something before they can, you know, get subbed in the 85th minute. I don't get it.
Moyes, he's so old school. He's so old school, and then in the mentality of, well, yeah, you might be the new shiny signing, but you're still gonna have to pay your dues, and until you pay the dues, in my eyes, then I'm not gonna be putting you out on the field like that.
Yeah,
and it's old school, and it's too old school, and it's just not working.
I'm gonna compare Moyes to a guy I coached with, right? I was the assistant coach with the guy for years. And he refused to play freshmen, wouldn't play a freshman in the team, right?
Yeah.
We have a stacked team of freshmen, won't let them on the pitch. I take over, they're all sophomores, and I throw them all into the fire, and we won a state championship, right? Why? Because I let them start from the beginning and said, hey, you're going to take lumps. You're going to learn how this game is played at this level. You're going to have to eventually take your lumps, get out there, come off injured. We'll figure it out from there. But you have to take lumps early to get up to speed. You have to. And when you're not putting them in positions, finding success is difficult.
No, I'm with you, Scott. And I think, you know, Moyes is again, I do still back him, but I worry that he's too cautious, that he's too slow to integrate new players, that he's too he can't adapt. He's starting to remind me a little bit of Sam Allardyce, you know, except that Allardyce would manage half the season, and once we were safe, he would just quit. Moyes hasn't done that to his credit. He's turned in a couple of really good seasons for West Ham, but he is extremely predictable, and he doesn't have a plan B. He has no plan B. Or if he does, you already know what plan B is because he's used it 10 times in the past, you know. There's no creative thinking, and that's what bothers me the most. However, I don't want to get rid of him because I don't know who else we bring in. Good Lord, we could bring in another Pellegrini. As AJ said, it'd be a disaster.
No, you know what's going to happen? We're going to have a rumor that we tried to get Zidane.
Yeah, I know. People on Twitter talking about Pochettino and Zidane. They're not coming to West Ham.
They're not coming to West Ham. You know who we end up with?
Not until we get some Arabs.
Sean Dyche.
Right, exactly, David. Well, no, listen, we cannot afford them. We are not a Champions League club, all right? And quite frankly, I mean, even if as we said last season, even if we were ever to qualify for Champions League, we wouldn't get out of the group stages. I'm sorry, I don't think we would. I just don't. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I mean, with the change to the Champions League, I don't know anymore.
Well, I mean, there's no way to know unless it happens someday. But the point is, Zidane, Pochettino, those guys can go anywhere. If they want to go somewhere, it's not going to be West Ham. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not realistic. This happens every time we change managers. We throw these names out that are insane, and we end up with Slaven Bilic.
I mean, the one season he wasn't bad, but.
Well, he had Payet. That's why. I mean, again,
Lee, what are your thoughts?
Wasn't there some weird rumor out there that people were saying that Payet wanted to come back to West Ham?
Yeah,
have you seen Payet? Payet's had 1 or 12 too many donuts for breakfast this morning.
A lot.
I was going to say
he runs around like me on the pitch.
Too much.
If he can bang free kicks, I'd take him.
Payet, well, listen, if you mean Graham Potter, yeah, of course he would, James. But I mean,
I love Graham Potter. But
I would take him again. As we said earlier, he's the girl you dump your girlfriend for. You know what I mean? If she comes around saying, I didn't say wife, I said girlfriend. If she comes around, yeah, you could like, okay, I'll take Graham Potter. But he's not coming around. That's what he's not coming around. AJ, you're right. And why would he? I mean, he's actually in a great situation. I mean, yes, but you know what? Okay, but here's the deal: if he leaves Brighton, it's not to go
it's
to
going to be to a bigger club.
Exactly. If he leaves Brighton, it's going to be to Manchester United, right? To a club that can spend more.
You know what I think is going to end up happening?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Tuchel gets the boot. I think Tuchel gets the boot, and Graham Potter is going to be the next manager of Chelsea.
Oh,
no, I don't see it.
No,
I don't see it.
I can see that happening.
So Potter is absolutely a fantastic manager, 100%. There is no way in hell is he going to a top 6 club like, say, United or Chelsea or what a completely absurd thing to say. There is no way that is going to happen because he doesn't. There's no way he can control those big egotistical players. Exactly what James is saying. What top 6 club would have him? Maybe
Manchester United would do it.
Maybe Tottenham, but they're more top 7.
Chelsea just lost 3-0 to an American manager.
But in saying
that, on his name,
Jesse Marsh. I do respect him for that. I don't support Leeds, obviously.
No.
I would like to see Jesse Marsh do well because he's a real life Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, that's my only thing. Everyone keeps saying he's Ted Lasso. Is like, dude, put some respect on him.
Well, he's not Ted Lasso because obviously he's a real football manager. He's not
He actually went somewhere and won.
Right. No. I hope he does well. Not better than West Ham, but I hope he does well.
No, of course
I do. I really do. I like Jesse Marsh. But what I'm saying is, I could see a top 6. I don't know.
I can see a top 6.
This is a good point. Even makes, but they're happy obviously with.
But the only way he goes to New. So where does Eddie Howe go? Because I don't think he's going to do a bad job.
I don't think right now he's going anywhere. I think that's what
I don't think he's going to do a bad job. I don't think he's going to be out of the Newcastle job as the way things are going.
No. They actually are doing. I detest the fact that Newcastle are owned by a murderous regime. Okay, but as far as building a football club, they might be doing a pretty good job. So let me just
they're not doing what Man City did when they first entered the Premier League.
No,
where they
they're
just
not.
spent money. They're looking at players and saying, you know what? Does this player does he fit the profile of what we're trying to do?
Exactly.
Okay, Bruno Guimaraes, come on through. You fit. He's been
There's
wonderful.
a philosophy.
Kieran Trippier,
There's a philosophy.
great.
Yes.
The philosophy is working.
And they've got a manager who's a steady English manager. He's not they didn't go out and get a Mourinho. They've got a guy who, who can manage personalities, who is good with the fans. I mean, again, don't like anything about their ownership. However, the owners seem to actually be doing a reasonable job of being owners, which is bad for us, because that means, they are likely to have many years of sustained success. But if anyhow got say, yeah, sure. I mean, not going to happen anytime soon.
Nah.
Not going to happen. That would take. I think it would take years for that to happen because they seem to have a certain amount of patience. I mean,
Newcastle. Sorry.
No, I was just. I mean, is you. I mean, do you guys see? Do you guys not see? Is there any circumstances under which realistically you don't see David Moyes seeing out this season? No. I mean, in other words, do you think that we are legitimate relegation fodder right now?
No.
Hell no.
Absolutely.
Hell no.
No,
And the reason I say that is because for me it comes back down to exactly what I was saying earlier in the broadcast. It is a case of we are shit for the first 6 to 8 games of the season, then we hit the ground running.
Well, we I mean, the problem is we have Villa, and then I think we have Spurs. Immediately after, you can't. I mean, if you have 0 points out of 15 to start the season, you're in a big hole. I mean, that's a big hole, and that's the kind of thing that would, quite frankly, and Eamon says end of December. There's nothing I want in this whole world more than for David Moyes to turn this around, because I love West Ham. I like David Moyes, and I want him to be our manager for a long time, and I want him to succeed because I'm tired of this instability at the club, this switching managers constantly. However, you get 5 games in, all right? You have 1 point or 0 points, and you're sitting bottom of the table, and you're maybe 5-6 points off of 19th, much less, a lot of managers get sacked for that. A whole lot of managers get sacked for that. And that is not an impossible scenario for us.
The last team I remember doing that was, I think it was 14-15 Newcastle. Took 0 points from the first 5.
Yep.
And I think my wife told me she was going to support Newcastle. And after that, I was like, you can't support Newcastle. They're going to be relegated next year. You can't even watch them play. But then they turned around and reeled off, I think, 12 straight points. I don't see us reeling off 12 straight points at any point in our season.
That's the other exactly, Scott, and that's what worries me right now. Is I think you got to get a result in one of these next 2 games, because you really, I mean, I said this last week. Everybody thought it was crazy. I do fear a relegation battle. I do fear a relegation battle because you just okay. So we'll hit form eventually. But the problem is, how long is it going to take to hit our form? You can't take 6 or 7 games. You can't have 0 points or 1 point out of 21, 18.
We'll smash.
I mean, that'd knock you out for the rest of the season. You can't.
We'll smash Villa at the weekend. We'll smash Villa at the weekend, and then everyone next week will be West Ham are massive everywhere.
No. We smash Villa, and then we would have to smash Spurs. And then we will parade that we are massive.
Then we'll do that. Yeah,
we'll be all right.
I mean, he has still. I mean, I listen. I back him 100%. I'm going to tell you right now that if in November we're still rooted to the bottom of the table and the World Cup,
he's gone.
He's gone.
If we're still bottom by October, by the start of October, he's gone.
I think he. The thing is,
no, October. If we're not,
I agree with
above the bottom 3 by October, he's gone.
Who on earth do you bring in realistically? Again, Pochettino's
I don't know, but you don't stick with somebody just because
I know
you don't feel that you don't have any other options. That's insanity.
Well, but Eamon's got a point here too. I mean, it's to me,
It's a combination of
Moyes
things.
is too predictable, and the league may have caught up with him in January of last season. The truth may be that it wasn't just fatigued players and a lack of signings in January. The truth may be that he hit his peak with us, and everything else has been downhill since then. That's possible. I don't want it to be that way because, again, I want stability at the club, and I've always liked it. But I mean, maybe that was it. Maybe that was the peak, and he can't, and it's not going anywhere better.
To Iman's point, though,
yes,
like, that's Moyes' job to get the best out of the players. And you get the best out of the players by changing things up and making guys uncomfortable and sitting someone's behind on the bench because they're not doing what they need to do. That's how you get the best out of players. And when you're doing the same thing, the players know, piss off, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
He's not going to pull me. He won't pull me. And I've seen that attitude, and that causes the whole thing to spiral down.
And this is why we started off, Scott, talking about Declan Rice, because he has to step in and be a leader now, and not just on the pitch for 90 minutes on Thursday or Sunday, but every day in training, every day in the changing room when those players are together and Moyes is not in there talking to him every day. He's got it, and I don't know if he's doing that. I don't know if he's doing that. Mark Noble, again, not my favorite captain on the pitch for a lot of reasons, but I think we do miss his presence, and I think we miss the presence of Stuart Pearce. Don't sleep on that as a big departure.
Alan Irvine as well.
Yes. Also, a lot of you remember, Brian Clough was never the same without. Help me, the other guy's name. I can't think of his name. Anyway, you all read the book, saw the movie. The guy who managed with him, he was like his assistant. Anyway, somebody's going to tell me. Anyway, Brian Clough, one of the greatest managers of all time, was never the same without his, sort of partner with him, whose name I can't think of, who's also a manager. Maybe this is a situation with Moyes. I mean, if you look at American football, look at Bill Parcells without Bill Belichick. Kind of not the same coach, good, but not the same level of success. For that matter, look at Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. But the point is, Moyes loses these guys. He loses a captain. He loses a couple of assistants. And I mean, maybe that's a big deal. Also, people have talked about this. Declan Rice was big buds with Ryan Fredericks. They were tight. And I think, I don't know. I mean, Masuaku, I know, terrible player. But, he was friends with Zuma. They were French speakers together. Zuma's looked awful to start the season. Declan has not looked good to start the season. I mean, these weird, we've all worked in offices. We've all been on teams. You get these weird relationships with somebody who maybe not as a star player or the best player, but he's your boy in the changing room. You know what I mean? He's like your friend, and you get along and you need each other, and all of a sudden he's gone, and it's like, I feel empty.
Look, if you're a professional player, if that's bothering you, get the fuck out. That's my opinion of it. If you're heartbroken,
I think it's a valid point.
Play because your buddy is been sold because he's not good enough. I don't care. You can go too.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't think that's as big of a deal. I think it's more to do with just, once again, what we were talking about at the start. It's just players are regressing to the mean. They're mean. And also just players not at their best position. And that's what's hurting us ultimately. I'm glad we actually got a left back, so now it's not Cresswell we're just looking at.
Or Cresswell. I will always listen, irrationally, I'll always love Aaron Cresswell. He was never the best player, but he's been a great contributor. And it's just one of those guys I like on a personal level. This is an interesting comment, Eamon, because, I have said over and over again, he gave us the best 2 back-to-back seasons in the history of the club, at least in terms of league performance. But you got to look at not just the first 3 games. You got to go all the way back to January. It's been a struggle. It has. And all the problems we saw the second half of last season, and especially those last 5 or 6 games, they're back. They never went away. They were there in the preseason. They're there now. They've never gone away. You got like Jared Bowen. I know he scored against me. Where's Jared Bowen been? What's up with him? Where'd he go? You got to have him. He's a catalyst. You got to have that guy.
Danny Dyer's not putting out.
No. I highly doubt that's true. I don't think that's a problem for him. I think he and Danny Dyer seem still very happy. And
I think when it comes down to it, it's gonna be a matter of almost tweaking certain things on the player side. And yes, in the system, I disagree. I think the system can use a little tweaking as well.
He needs a backup plan and a plan B. We need to have one Sunday these days. I guess it's mostly going to be Sunday, hopefully, where we can't name at least 10 of the starting 11 before the lineup even comes out. We got to have one where it's unpredictable.
If we fine tune it enough, if you get one thing right, then everything else comes together. And I think that's where we're on the verge of.
And Darren, I happen to be a big fan of French rugby, so don't get me started on French rugby, okay? Not so much the football, but yeah. No, I'll do a whole different French rugby channel. I'll do a whole different French rugby channel if you want me to, but not here. No, but you know what, Phil, you're right. And I feel as though to some extent, and you guys tell me what you think, the success of West Ham has felt a little bit like a house of cards to me for a couple of seasons now, in that it's always felt as though one, or Jenga maybe is a better metaphor. One piece missing, one piece moved, it all falls apart. And we've had a lot of pieces move. Mark Noble's gone, Stuart Pearce is gone, Alan Irwin's gone, as you said, David. I mean, and I'm not just talking about fringe players like Masuaku. I'm talking about people who are really critical to the everyday existence of the club. And it feels as though the whole tower has kind of come crumbling down. We're not built like Manchester City. We don't have that kind of money. We can't put those kind of players out. It was always like, well, we're pushing with like 15 guys sort of running, making the whole club work. And now you take away a few of those key pieces for various reasons, and it's just not, there's nothing left.
I am hopeful, Lee. I get the impression at the end of last season that it was a case of, people being wore out. I am hopeful that the start of this season is just down to people not being prepared. They've come back with a lackadaisical attitude, and that they will get up to speed. I want to believe that we're going to do well. I want to believe that Moyes is going to be successful, because I want to believe that there is a plan. I've been sold on.
I want to believe that there's a plan too. Yeah,
I've been sold on the idea that West Ham are going in a direction. We're going to recruit these young, hungry, exciting players, and that we're trying to build a squad that has strength and depth, and we're going to buy cheap, sell expensive, and so on and so forth. I want to believe all of that.
I do too. I've always wanted to believe it. That's why I want to believe in Moyes. I want that stability.
But as we all know, with West Ham, don't dare to dream.
Well, don't dare to think that things have again. We used to talk a lot. We've talked over the years on this channel a lot about what's the most West Ham thing that could happen, which is, it's kind of like being a Boston Red Sox fan before they won the World Series in 2004. There was always going to be some catastrophic event that would happen, right? Unexpected out of nowhere. And for 2 years, mostly West Ham things didn't happen, right? I mean, I know Lingard scored against us last season. That was a West Ham thing to have happen, okay? But we got 2 years of non-West Ham things happening. Winning games we should have lost. Drawing games we should have lost. Coming from behind, doing things we never, ever did. And that Forest game in particular, to me, was a real throwback to this is the most West Ham thing that could happen. Kind of the pre-Moyes era, like outplay them, miss a penalty, have some bad refereeing decisions go against us, hit the post, but overall, it just doesn't happen, and we come away with nothing. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was so deflating. And then you come back a week later, and it's like, all right, we've got some confidence from this win over the Danes. Let's finally break the duck against Brighton at home. No, it's an absolute dud. It's an absolute we fall apart. It's feeling like old West Ham to me, and I thought that was all gone.
Yeah.
But as you say, you can't ever think that.
The atmosphere at the stadium was a bit flat as well. It seemed like
Oh, of course it was. Well, there was a train strike, and there's been a lot of the cost of living in London's very high, and as it is everywhere. But I think circumstances played into that. But I also think our poor start played into it. I mean, I don't want to sack Moyes. I want to make it very clear. I still back him. The last thing I want is for the club to have to sack him because of a poor start. I desperately want stability for this club and a manager who will build the club. I've always believed that that's Moyes. I believed it from the very first time he came and saved us from relegation, and nobody wanted to keep him. And we brought in Pellegrini, and that was a disaster. I wanted to keep Moyes from the very beginning. I'm sorry, it's true. I really want him to succeed.
You got to remember, Moyes is the guy that Alex Ferguson handpicked to take over from him at Manchester United. He must have seen something there in order to make that choice. Now, his track record since then, has been a little bit on and off.
But Manchester United's track record hasn't been all that great either. They've never gone back to the heights where they were since Ferguson. I mean,
they have a different set of issues that run a bit deeper.
They have a different set of issues, and but they're going to be they'll still finish top 6. I think they will. People are freaking out. Again, it's August. Remember when Villa? I think it was Villa that beat Liverpool like 7-2 a few years ago. Early in the sort 7 goals in Liverpool early in the season. Everybody said Liverpool. I mean, and still Liverpool were title contenders. That maybe even the season they won the title. I don't remember. Weird stuff happens in August, which is one thing. Which is why I'm hoping maybe that's what's going on with us.
And
but
I give it credence.
But it needs to, turn around. All right, I'm only going to about 15 more minutes. I don't want to go more than an hour and a half because I want to watch Reservation Dogs. You guys ever see that show? It's really good. AJ, you may not get it. It's all. I'm just going to give it a little promo here for no reason. It's all indigenous Americans, so like Native Americans, I guess, in Oklahoma, and it's a comedy, but it's a really good show, and it comes out on Thursday nights on one of the streaming services. My wife and I watch it every Thursday, so I can't go too late. She's gonna want to watch it with me. Anyway, let's see. We lost. Beat Spurs. Ha ha. Yeah, you're not far off there, Lucas. You're really not. Yes, that's true. I have had to change, Tom. I've had to change my set for the show here because we're trying to convert. We're finally converting the other bedroom into my other son's room, so each of the boys will have their own rooms. It's coming along slowly, but yes, I'm in the tunnel here, and the attic is. This is where I started doing this show, though, 3 years ago. Yeah, I worry about Spurs a lot. You're 49. Well, I'm 48. Well, we're pretty 17 stone. I don't know how big I am in stone. I don't want to know. It sounds so much worse than pounds for some reason, or kilos. Stone. I weigh stone. Yeah, they didn't perform. All right, so let's go about another 15 minutes. Let's do what we did last week. Please give me your predictions on what will happen against Viborg and Villa. Oh, both of them with V's. Well, at least there's no B clubs. The B clubs are the ones we can't ever beat. David, what do you think? Viborg and Villa. You can talk about score. You can talk about which players play, how we perform, whatever you want. Just riff on what you think is going to happen.
Viborg will see an exciting starting 11 with a few fringe players thrown in. I think we will do well there. I could see us going 3-1, something like that. 2-1, 3-1. But it could be a cricket score,
Yeah. I hope we score, period. We did last week, so hopefully we can do it again.
Villa, that's a toss-up. It's like, I don't know if anyone's, I'm sure people have seen the memes on Twitter and stuff. It's like West Ham versus Villa this weekend. And it's like, a couple of drunk guys fighting or, whatever.
Well, we have to go there too. I mean, we are away, if I'm not mistaken. Right? We were just home, so we're away.
I see us going to Villa Park and coming away with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah. That's fair. That's to a great extent where I am. AJ, what do you think about Thursday/Sunday?
Viborg are going to be difficult because they're playing at their home ground. And we've never been there, so we can't exactly say it's going to be a cricket score. We don't know what their fans are going to be like. The way I see things, this could actually turn into another Astra Gugu situation.
Oh, please, AJ, please.
No, don't do that to
I
me.
was gonna, oh, Lord. I need Conference League.
I went
without
through
Conference
therapy
League,
to get over Austria Gugu.
Yes. Without Conference
I
League,
drank myself
insane.
stupid after that game, okay? I understand the pain from that
I know
game.
you do. You're West Ham, AJ. I know you are. I know you. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm having PTSD.
Oh, trust me, brother. I hear that loud and clear. It is an unpopular opinion, but I genuinely think even though we might struggle, I can see us actually, shitting the bed a little bit. But in saying that, I'm going to put my claret and blue tinted glasses on. I'm going to say 8-0 because I don't care about the moment. I just want us to score some bloody goals and get some bloody wins under our belts.
I know.
I'm sick of it.
We haven't had a Premier League goal of the month for August because we haven't had a Premier League goal. So,
well, that's the thing because But look, before I get onto my Villa prediction, I've got to admit something to everyone. Recently, I've just changed from changed my job.
Right.
And you guys aren't going to believe this, but I now work for a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Now, I said to him, right, you bastard.
I'm so sorry.
Here's what the plan is. If you lose both games on aggregate this season, you've got to let me wear a West Ham shirt for a day at work. Whereas if I lose both, I may just have to commit the ultimate sacrilege.
Don't do it. Don't do it, AJ. Don't do it. You're going to end up for a Tottenham shirt, AJ.
If we lose, suicide is always an option.
I was going to say, or, you know what? Maybe just kill your boss is probably a better, because one less Tottenham fan. Anyway, I'm not serious.
Well, I mean, if you don't see me for 20 years, you know what's happened.
Right.
But no, I think Villa's going to be an absolute tough game because I don't know what Gerrard is doing there. I really don't. But I think we could actually. I think we could do it. I think we could pick up a win over Villa. Tyler, just before I pass it off to Scott, I didn't actually say I was going to wear it. All I was about to say was I have to touch their badge on their shirt, which I would much rather cut every single finger off of my hands than do that. Okay, I would.
Wait! You got to touch it, but you could touch it with like some ketchup on your hands, or so. Couldn't you touch it with something like some ketchup or something?
Like,
or
put on some gloves, man. Like,
that's not part of the deal. That's the problem.
Okay. I've just looked it up. You only get 5 years for killing a Tottenham fan.
In New Zealand,
okay,
you got to look it up in New Zealand. You got to look up in New Zealand. Yeah.
What's the sentence for killing a Millwall fan then?
You actually get given a gift.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get a reward for that. You get a reward for that. That's considered more of an extermination.
No, but
murder. So that's, you probably get you get a little.
Millwall Steve, this is not meant towards you at all.
Sorry, Steve. I'm sorry,
Millwall Steve. You're great.
I know you're a good dude, Steve. You're all right. You're all right with me.
No.
Yeah. All right. So did you? What did you mention? Villa. What happens against Villa? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I got lost in there. I got lost.
I said that I think we can actually pick up a result against Villa.
Okay. All right, Squat, as they'd call you here in Boston. Squat, what do you think?
Thursday, I think we're gonna win 2-1. I mean, I was pretty livid at halftime last Thursday. I'm lucky. Hold on, real quick. My talisman's coming in to help me pick the Villa match.
Oh, there she is.
Embry thinks 2-1 for Villa.
Hi, baby girl. Hi, Embry.
Oh, great girl saying hi.
Hi, Embry. Oh, look at her saying hi. What a cutie. And you say she's almost 2?
Almost 2.
When's her birthday?
November 11th.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, she's a few months away, but she's
Yeah.
getting there. Yeah, she's getting there. Yeah.
I think both
Ooh,
matches are going to be 2-1 us. And I just want to throw it out there because I just tweeted it. But Lee,
Yes.
I mean, Erling Haaland and
you said
Erling
this in the private
Haaland,
chat.
yeah,
Vigo from
looks like
Ghostbusters
Vigo
2.
from Ghostbusters 2.
I have not
you
seen
don't think
Ghostbusters
so
2 since I saw it in the theater, like when it came out, like 1989.
Hey,
he
check
does
your
look
Twitter.
like
I
him.
tweeted it to you.
No,
Neil.
he does.
I tweeted
He does.
it to you. They look exactly the same. I think it's a family thing. Someone in his family posed for the picture.
All right, let's see here. Hang on.
Erling Carpathian.
What is a Carpathian anyway?
I don't know.
Is
The
that in New Zealand, AJ? Is Carpathia New Zealand? I mean, it could be. I don't know.
No, Carpathia is it's Eastern Europe, southeastern Europe.
Oh, really? It's a real place?
Yeah, Carpathian Mountains are oh bloody hell. It's not like Transylvania or whatever, but it's out that way, southeastern Europe. The Balkans.
I'm usually pretty good with geography, but I have to say this one is stumping me a little bit. But Holland looks.
He scores when he wants.
The only thing about Holland is he not only does he look like Vigo, he also manages to look like a 13-year-old girl at the same time.
At the exact same time, you're absolutely right.
He's got that. Remember Diego Forlan? The first time I saw, remember Diego Forlan? He played for Manchester United for a little while. I think he was from Argentina. No, he's from Uruguay. He's from Uruguay. Uruguayan guy. Played in the World Cup.
Yeah, Forlan. Yeah.
Forlan. The first time I saw Diego Forlan, I was living in France and I was watching a game from South America. And I thought, how'd they let a woman in on a men's football match? Like, who is that? Because he looked like a girl from a distance, you know. Anyway, so Holland's got a little Vigo, but also a little Diego Forlan, and then he looks like a teenage girl. Of course, what is he, like 21 years old, something like that. Anyway,
A very awkward teenage girl, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like one who's going through a phase, you know.
Russian track girl.
Or like the old East German women,
German track.
the old East
female.
German women of the Olympics in the 80s.
That's right.
Like big like hair, like they look like Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an East German woman. I run the track for East Germany. Anyway,
Sorry, Phil.
I'm not. I'm just saying that they had extreme training regimen. That's all. All right, Phil. By the way, Phil, what is the Steve part in your Twitter handle? Why does it say Phil_Steve? Can I ask you that?
Okay, so
Feels
back in all the way back in high school, which is almost 10 years ago.
Oh,
dear.
I don't mean to date you all. You all are young.
David and Scott and I are like, get out of here. 10 years ago.
I don't mean to date you all. You are very young and lively gentlemen. You know, you don't look a day past 35.
Oh yeah, okay.
But when I started out, people wouldn't actually call me by my actual name.
Okay.
Because they recognized me as my sister's little brother. So I was always Marquita's little brother. And then I was taking classes with upperclassmen, and they were like, yo, you look exactly like this dude who just transferred out named Steve. So all I'd be called is, what's up, Steve? Hey, Steve. What's good, Steve? And I'm like,
that's interesting.
Say my name. And so it kind of stuck even till now. If I ever see anyone from that school, it's, what's good, Steve? I'm like, you know what? It's been years.
Nothing. Better than what I was called in high school. So I think Steve would have been a real upgrade from most of the names people called me. I was just wondering about that. So, all right. Good.
That's all good.
No, it's good to know. It's good to know. All right. What do you think happens this week with West Ham, the West Ham soap opera ongoing?
The drama that never ends. Gotta
The
love
drama
it.
that never ends.
I think we win 2-0 versus Viborg because Viborg are going to push hard, but ultimately the talent's not going to be there for them. And I think we just hit them on the counter. Skamaka probably gets one-on-one with the keeper. Antonio comes on late, probably chips one in. 2-0. And then against Villa, that's going to be interesting because Villa haven't been anywhere near their best at all. Like all the hype with Coutinho, it's kind of not been there as much. And so I think it's going to be a tough match, but I think we go ahead and we'll get a result at the minimum. Being the West Ham person I am, I'm going to say we win 2-1. So 2-0 and 2-1.
All right. That's fair. Last week I thought we would beat Viborg like almost said Vigo. See, I can't. Paqueta crisps. See, Paqueta crisps. See what David Letterman used to do. He used to tell his bad jokes over and over. By the end of the night, you were laughing at him. Right? That's how it works. Anyway, I thought we'd beat Viborg like 3-0. Well, we won 3-1. It was pretty close. I think we hold out. I do. I understand AJ's concern, which is extremely legitimate given that it's West Ham and given our form. I think we can. I think it's going to, be like 2-1, but I do think we win the match and we win the tie. But let me just say this to these Viborg fans. I saw the clips of them in London singing, dancing. They packed their part of London Stadium when, a lot of people weren't there because of the transit strike and other issues. They seem like great people on social media. I just want to say, well done, Viborg. If you do manage to turn us over, I will hate you forever and ever, just as I do Asker Gugu. But for now, well done, Viborg fans. You seem like decent people. Anyway, I think we win that game. I think we win the tie. I think we move on to Conference League. I need Thursday afternoons with West Ham. I need that for my mental health. If we lose this tie, I'm going off the deep end football-wise anyway, because those Thursdays have become like, sacred to me.
I agree with you.
Oh, they're fantastic. Thursday at 3, just sitting right where I sit right now. Just it's I got 3 monitors. I can, it's brilliant.
The way my work got scheduled, I have Thursdays open.
That's what I'm saying. All right, Thursday. There are no Thursday afternoon meetings. See, that's we don't do that.
I just watch at school.
And I'm gonna
two screens for a reason.
Right. No, I have 3. I don't do that much work. I don't have 3 screens worth of work. I only need 1 really, but they gave me 3, so I'm like, yeah, okay. Villa. So I think Viborg we get through. Villa on the other hand, I'm kind of with David on this. I think it's like a 1-1. I do think we'll finally score in the Premier League, but I think it's going to be a tense game with a tense result, and I don't think anyone's going to be happy coming out of it. And it's going to be a nervy week headed into Spurs. So the only bad thing about Thursdays is that Sundays follow them. Sometimes the fun and excitement of Thursday is dead by Sunday afternoon. So, and I'm a little worried it's going to happen this time too. Hopefully not. Hopefully we get it together. All right. I'm making good on my promise not to go all night. But I want to thank David from San Antonio. Fantastic city. I haven't been there in years, but I love it. AJ, our buddy from, where'd he go? He's this way? That way. Well, I always point the wrong way on this stupid. There we go. There he is. AJ, our wonderful friend from New Zealand. We haven't seen in such a long time. It was really good to have you on again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. And that, as I said, thanks again to Tim. Hopefully, I haven't killed your brain cells, boys, and hopefully, I'm welcome back again very soon. But
come back whenever you want. Come back anytime. Come back next week. I mean, it's great. No, we love having you.
I'm a lazy bastard, so it worked out.
With his Canes hat on, getting ready for college football season. My man Scott down in or out, I guess, in Reno. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, real quick, the bad part about us playing in Europe is that we play every Sunday. And
I know.
on the West Coast, that's like 6 a.m. games, and no place is open to go watch the game.
And I just want to tell you,
really?
I just want to tell you,
no place that'll show the game that you want to eat at. Let's be honest.
I know this is going to sound, bizarre and perhaps troubling, but I actually do help teach a Sunday school class at the church I go to. And, you got to do that on Sunday mornings. There's no other time to do it. So watching the games live, difficult for me when they're at 9:00 on Sunday mornings. And that's when I'm with the high school kids. So I often end up watching a delayed version of the game later on. Fortunately, I can do that. I don't know the score. If I don't look at it, I don't know. Nobody tells me, it's fine. But I'm with you, Scott, that Sunday mornings are not ideal, but I love those Thursday evenings.
Absolutely.
And of course, Steve from Chicago. No, I'm just kidding.
North Chicago.
Bob. No. Our buddy Phil from Chicago. Always good to have you. Chat room was great tonight. Saw all kinds of friends in there we haven't seen for a while, and some new people as well. Even our buddy Steve from Millwall. So, listen, AJ. I'm sorry, AJ. Good Lord, Tommy. Tommy was in the chat room. Tommy and help me, Chris. Tommy and Chris will be on the post-match show. Should be on the post probably after both games, but definitely after Sunday's game. And then we got some other stuff that we're working on the channel. So keep subscribing to us, or stay subscribed. Turn your little bell on if you want to know when we're doing stuff. And if you guys, I'm going to throw my link out one more time for our friends in the Gambia, one of the poorest countries in the world, trying to start a West Ham, or they have started a West Ham youth football club, which is doing really well. They're playing tournaments. They're a competitive team. They're doing well. It's all because of us. It's all because we have helped them. And this young man, Insa, has worked so hard to get these kids together. So if you can find I know it's a tough time right now for cost of living and all that, but if you can find a little something extra, please send it our way. It all goes to him. All goes to him. We've bought balls. We've bought shoes. We've bought all kinds of training gear. We're trying to get him in kits. So anyway, love you guys. And we will talk to you this time next week. And until then, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.